Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm your host, Mike Calabrese, joined today by Derek Carty of Roto Grinders for a quick look at the games here in the second half of the Major League Baseball season, getting kick-started on Friday. We also have Billy Ward coming in with his YRFI Nerfies, his first plays of the season after the All-Star break. All-Star break was a lot of fun. Home run derby, a tie in the All-Star game, lots of excitement there. And Derek, I mean, first of all, what were your thoughts on this break? And then the second part of it, is there a team, player, pitcher that you're excited about? Do you think potentially could get moving in the right direction the second half of this year? Or is it just coming down to targeting the micro, getting into every single day, every single pitching matchup? You don't necessarily look at the larger landscape of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, All-Star break was great. Not really, break in quotation marks because there's really never any breaks. But yeah, I thought the home run derby was great. I thought the swing off in the All-Star game was awesome. I'm excited that we're back to having real baseball now. Sean Manaea just came off the IL on Sunday, the day before the All-Star break. He's starting again today. He's a guy that I definitely have my eye on because he made some changes down the stretch last year and looked really, really good. And he looked really good on Sunday as well. So he's a guy that could come out and just be like a complete stud. That people have almost forgotten about. So I have my eye on him, but really, it's what you said. It comes down to every single day evaluating the exact matchups because edges can come from anywhere. It's not often that we have a player that the market just completely misses on every single time. It happens occasionally, especially if we're looking at a prop, like one specific, facet of the guy's game or something. But it's really about finding the edges in the overlooked stuff more than anything else.
All right, let's hop in with your best bet here for Friday. You're going to go with a home run prop going off at plus 650, Jorge Soler. And he went homerless in June with 0 extra base hits, so he was not exactly someone you wanted to back there. But he looks a lot more like his old self here in July. We're only 2 seasons removed from him hitting 36 home runs down in Miami, where he slugged .512. He's hit 2 home runs across his last 29 at-bats this month and is riding a 5-game hitting streak. I guess that's my question here in terms of the price point. Is that what interests you first? And do you ever have correlate between like a hitting streak and some of those power numbers, or do you think it's a little bit more pitcher dependent and you don't necessarily care about carrying that momentum from the dish in terms of getting hits?
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in momentum. Most studies have shown that hot streaks are not really predictable. Like, they happen, obviously, but you can't predict when they're going to stop, when they're going to start. So really, I'm just focusing on the underlying skills. Soler's underlying skills have declined this year, but he's still a guy who has plenty of power, and they're giving us a really good number on him here at plus 650. Plus the matchup is good. He's going into one of the better home run parks in baseball in Philadelphia. He's going to have the platoon advantage against Jesus Luzardo, who has a wide platoon split. So that will help him quite a bit. And Luzardo has struggled at times this year with, he's had some real blow-up outings where he's been tipping pitches or whatever else. And so if we're lucky, we get that version of Jesus Luzardo today. Even if we don't, we're still getting a good number here.
Speaking of Luzardo, here we have the Angels at plus 185. It's your favorite underdog on the Friday card. And the first thing that pops to me is usually looking at a West Coast to East Coast road trip. Sometimes you have, a single day off, travel day, or in some cases you got to make that quick turnaround to go from a night game to playing a day game across the country. But in this case, you have the All-Star break. Do you bake that into your numbers in terms of it being less of a burdensome travel spot for the Halos here? Or is it more about, as you just said, targeting Luzardo, who's not been the same pitcher in the last, let's call it 9 outings? If you look at some of those blowups that he's had, he's been hard hit, a lot of home runs flying over the fence, as opposed to who he was in the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, a lot of this is about targeting Luzardo and just about the Angels being a perpetually underrated team to begin with. Like, they're not great. They're probably not even good, but they're better than people think. They're not bad. They have, plenty of pop in the lineup. They're facing Luzardo, who I mentioned earlier has that really wide platoon split, and he'll probably be facing 8 opposite handers in this Angels lineup, which I think is something that's maybe getting missed by the line here. Plus, again, the chance that he is tipping or something is wrong with him. is just an extra kind of cherry on top. The BetX has this much closer to an even money bet than the line indicates, around plus 110. It thinks is about the fair price. So at plus 185, I'm definitely in on this.
Before we get to Billy Ward's YRFI NRFI plays and leans, you have two more props on your card. Both are for batters not to take strike three or to swing and miss on that third strike. We're going to start with Connor Joe. He is plus 180 out in the market. A reminder always to shop around because this basically opens in the plus 145 range and it has bubbled up to plus 180. And one of the reasons is the pitcher you mentioned at the very top, Sean Manaea, is interesting here because he just threw his first start of the entire season, but it's only 65 pitches on Sunday, although he struck out 7, which would kind of align with some of his career strikeout numbers. His strikeouts per 9 is 8.9 for his career. So do you anticipate another lower pitch count here, or is there something else when it comes to Connor Joe that you like him at this price point not to get punched out against Manaea?
It's a little bit of both. So playing an under strikeout against Manaea is incredibly scary because, like I said, I think Manaea has the potential to be just a complete ace and really, really good. But like you said, like we said, he's coming off injury, made his first return to the majors on Sunday, piggybacking off of Clay Holmes. Threw, I think, 72 pitches in a rehab game before that, only threw like 65 in that game on Sunday. So I don't see him being like extremely limited in this one, but I don't see him going past 85, maybe 90 pitches. And Connor Joe is a guy that tends to get pinch hit for a lot. When he starts against a lefty, once that bullpen comes in, another righty comes in, they yank him out of the game. I think the bat has his pinch hit risk percentage as like close to 60% today or something, just really, really 57%. So if we're lucky, he's only going to have to see Manaea a couple of times, then gets pulled out. And that kind of thing is often not baked into these lines. So just from a pure volume perspective, I think we're getting good odds here on Joe.
In terms of your overall card, do you ever think about a hedge in a spot like this, taking Manaea over on his strikeouts, but taking Joe not to strike out?
Not really, not unless they project well individually. I'm not a big proponent of hedging. If one side is expected to be very, plus EV, I'm just going to take that side and I'll ride out the variance with it. I'm not going to try and take the other side to limit the variance if the other side isn't also plus EV. In the long run, you're going to be more profitable by not doing that kind of hedging.
Let's close out with another batter to avoid the strikeout at plus 160, Brayan Rocchio. 7 Ks across his last 35 at-bats in July. July's going a lot better for him because in June he was 0 from the dish. I believe it was 18 plate appearances, 0 hits, struck out 7 times. But he's hitting a healthy 257 here in July. Anything else that you like about his matchup?
I like that sometimes when you look at a market like this, it almost reflects the hitter's overall talent level rather than just his specific strikeout ability. Like Brayan Rocchio is a well below average hitter, like maybe one of the worst hitters in Major League Baseball, but his ability to avoid strikeouts is a little bit above average. There's also a little bit of pinch hit risk for him, about 20%, facing a pitcher in JP Sears, who is a pretty low strikeout guy. So again, chance for, 2 or 3 at bats, but even if he stays in the game, it's still a pretty good matchup for a guy who is pretty good at avoiding strikeouts anyway.
Before we get out of here, let's toss it over to Action Network's predictive analyst Billy Ward to talk some YRFI NRFIs on his Friday card.
Thanks, guys. I only have one NRFI that I'm actually taking today. I have a couple more I'm going to talk about why we're not taking and what might cause that to change. But the pick I am going with today is the Braves-Yankees YRFI. You can get that as low as minus 102 at BetMGM. Good to the minus 110 you're seeing elsewhere. I have projected this one with Max Fried as the Yankees starter. He is day-to-day with a blister, so it's not clear whether he'll actually get the start or whether they'll pivot away from his spot in the rotation. The logic here is if it is Fried as the starter, I have this bet as a slight value. We've got Aaron Judge and Ronald Acuna both getting first inning at bats. Those are probably the 2 best hitters in baseball right now. Pretty easy to see how we get to a YRFI anytime those 2 are coming to bat. The real value here, though, is if it's somebody other than Fried is declared the starter. My guess is the total will go up, which means the YRFI price will also be more expensive, and we could maybe even arbitrage out with the NRFI on the other side of that, depending on whether the Yankees go with a bullpen game or what kind of starter they use. So we're recording this in the morning. If you see this and the lines have moved considerably, maybe stay away. But as it stands now, I'm trying to get ahead of any possible line movement towards the YRFI as the day moves on. A couple other spots my model likes, but I'm staying away from. One of those is the Tigers and Rangers game. Really good projection on the NRFI, but it's Patrick Corbin pitching for the Rangers. He's been good this year. Like, everything numerically says he should be a starter we can trust. I just can't get there based on how bad he's been in past years. And the Tigers do hit lefties fairly well. And then similar story, Royals, Marlins. Sandy Alcantara pitching for the Marlins. The NRFI would be a good bet purely based on the numbers. I use a ratio of a pitcher's first inning runs compared to their total runs, and Alcantara actually looks good there. Not because he's been good in the first inning, but because he's been so bad in other spots. So he's hard to trust. It feels like at some point he'll get back to being the pitcher he was. If you think that happens after the All-Star break, it actually makes a lot of sense to bet that NRFI. I want to wait and see it first before I put any actual money on that. So that's where I'm at on those two. If the prices get considerably better, NRFI is in the minus 110, minus 115 range, I'd probably suck it up and make the bet there. But as it stands now, just the one official, and keep checking those lines to see if there's a chance for an arbitrage later. Thanks, everyone.
That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets that you heard from Derek in today's episode or from Billy Ward, look for the quick slip link in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the pod. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. A link in the episode description can guide you through that process as well. We'll be back on Monday with another full episode of Payoff Pitch. That's best bets, favorite underdogs, and the rest of Sean's card. We also have a whole bunch of home run props from Grant Neefer, so be sure to tune in at 10 a.m. live to catch the absolute best numbers over at our YouTube channel. For Derek Carty and Billy Ward, I'm Mike Calabrese. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. And as always, best of luck with all your bets.